In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to do Cobra on elbows. Cobra on elbows is a really common thoracic strengthener, thoracic opening exercise, and certainly in things like yoga, but it's often quite badly cued and therefore not very well performed by people. I think many people miss the mark as to where they actually should be feeling this exercise. And it is often one that causes people like lower back pain and neck tension because they're compensating and not waking up the right muscles. So just before I get myself into it, I want to clarify that the muscles that we want to feel when we do Cobra are going to be specifically the rear arm muscles, so the posterior arm muscles. We've got the triceps here feeding into the rotator cuff, and then you're going to feel down into your mid back. So it's going to feel like this section here is really working hard when you are doing the exercise properly. You will know that you're not doing the exercise properly if your neck hurts or if your lower back hurts. So let's have a look in it. Okay, so we're going to come to a prone position, and you are going to have your big toes together with your ankles wide. So my feet look like this, okay? My toes are touching and my ankles are wide and my legs are completely relaxed. We are relaxing our feet and our legs and our glutes. We are not squeezing our glutes as we do this exercise, which is going to look like this, by the way. So the reason that we're not squeezing our glutes here is that if we squeeze our glutes, we're asking our hips to externally rotate, and that prevents them from lengthening correctly into extension. This is a position of hip extension. We want your hips to extend. If you squeeze your glutes, you twist them in the socket, and it will stop them from lengthening into extension properly. So there is a reason why I do not say squeeze your glutes. This is an upper body exercise. We're going to use the upper body to change the rib cage position, change the pelvic position, and free up the hips. We're coming into a position a bit like this. I'm going to come to the screen in a minute and show you my hands, but I am side on. My fingers, my wrists, my elbows, and my shoulders are all in alignment with one another, and my elbows are quite a lot further forwards than my shoulders. I am not putting my elbows here, because if I do that, I'm going to be rounded in my upper back. You can see here how my shoulders are rounded forwards and I'm kind of rounded through my upper spine, my thoracic spine. It's in flexion. This is a position of thoracic extension. So we're taking the elbows as far forwards as they need to be in order to create a kind of back bend in the upper back, and in order to give us space to pull our shoulders back and down behind us. So this is the type of movement that we're creating. Can you see there how my shoulders are moving back and my upper arms are moving back? It's that backwards movement of the upper arms and forwards movements of the chest that we're going after. We're not doing this, because if we do this, we're just going to hurt our lower back and our neck, and we're not changing any of the muscles that we're trying to actually change when we do Cobra on elbows. I'm just going to come to the screen and show you the hand position. So when I'm in this position, this is what I'm doing with my hands. I'm not in a fist. I'm not floppy through my fingers. My thumbs aren't bent like this. The thumbs pull back at that 90-degree angle. My palms are open and I'm bent from that first knuckle in my finger. So I'm not like this, I'm like that. Really trying to tuck the fingers in. The reason that we're doing this is it helps wake up the muscles of our hands, and it's going to give us more access to the muscles that we're trying to wake up through the backs of our arms here. So when we're in Cobra, it's going to look like this. Notice that I'm keeping my fingers, my wrists, my elbows, and my shoulders in alignment. I'm not doing this, which is really important, because when we do this, we are internally rotating our arms, and that's going to feed into that like rounded forward shoulder position. By having our arms, even if anything like this, but that's going to make it harder, you are externally rotating this humerus, and that's going to help plug that shoulder back and down behind you. So the alignment from the front is either going to look like this, or it's going to look like this. Notice here how that movement is coming from my upper arm. It's not coming because I'm doing this, okay? So it's not about just cracking at your wrists and bending your wrists. It's about trying to create this type of movement from the upper arm. But if your arms are tight, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Just go for a straight line. We'll start there. And then as you get more fluid in that upper body movement, you'll be able to think a bit more about the external rotation, okay? Keep those hands nice and tight. They are basically your foundation of the movement that we're doing. So, pigeon-toed feet, ankles relax out wide to the side, lower body completely relaxes. We've got our hands in our golfer's grip, we've got fingers, wrists, elbows and shoulders in alignment, and we've got our elbows way further forwards than our shoulders. We are not putting our elbows directly underneath our shoulders. If you are very dysfunctional in your upper back, mid back, shoulders and arms, you may even need to take your arms further in front of you like this. So you're almost going to feel like you're laying flat. It's about where you feel this and not how you look. So I don't want you up here if you are not feeling the backs of your arms into your kind of upper back and into your mid back. And certainly if your lower back is hurting you or if your neck is hurting you, it's a sign that you need to take your elbows further in front. So from here, all we're going to do is try and keep those legs switched off, but we're going to lock on our hands, really pull the thumbs back towards us, and we're going to drag our forearms along the floor back towards our body. So there is a kind of tension resistance between the floor and my forearms. I'm pushing down through my forearms onto the floor and I'm pulling back through my forearms without moving my arms to really create a resistance that will then hopefully feel like you are waking up your forearms, waking up the backs of your arms, and you'll notice how it also starts feeding into your shoulders. So it's almost like I'm kind of dragging myself in this type of movement. The forearms slightly move backwards along the floor and it helps to pull my chest up slightly, but not excessively. So you're locking into the arms. You're keeping the back of your neck nice and long and relaxed. So you're not tilting your head up. You're trying to keep the back of your neck long. You're going to relax your jaw. Relax your feet, relax your glutes, and really try and just plug those hands and arms in. You will know if you're doing it properly because it will feel hard work through the backs of your arms and into the backs of your shoulders. Then once your arms have woken up a little bit, you might feel like you can draw your elbows a little bit further back towards you without losing that kind of work, that wobble, that intention that's going on through your arms. And can you see here that as I inched my elbows backwards, my shoulders haven't gone upwards. So I do not want the elbows creeping in towards the body if that means that you go into this type of position, because this is you disengaging the muscles that we're trying to switch off. You're compensating. You'd be much better off keeping those arms further in front of you, keeping your body low, and really like equipping yourself with that sensation of how it feels to wake up this part of your body. And without losing that work in that part of your body, that is when you can start drawing those elbows in. The rib cage stays on the floor and the chest almost like pulls through the arms whilst the forearms plug back and down. But this is, I'm only feeling this in my forearms, my triceps, my bottom of my shoulder blades, my mid back, and the backs of my shoulders. There's no neck pain, there's no lower back tension. And then just to recap a little bit about how it will look if you're able to get the external rotation of the arms. So to start with, I just want you practicing that kind of pulling backwards motion. Like that's what effectively we're doing here. Noticing here that my hands are super active and rigid, but I've got my fingers, my wrists, my elbows, and my shoulders in alignment. Forearms pull backwards, and this is where I would recommend starting from, just so you can understand that movement more. But as you become more open through your shoulders, you can turn it into a pivot out from the elbow so that the wrists are wider than the elbows, and that's putting your humerus, your upper arms, into external rotation. And then you can try and do the exercise. So it looks more like this, but just make sure you're not doing that, because that's not you changing your upper arm position, that's you compensating with your wrist. If you're gonna go for the external rotation, it's a this type movement. The hands stay locked and very rigid, no bending here, and that's going to make you have to work even harder at muscles that you probably don't work very often. So that was Cobra on elbows. Hopefully that gets you thinking about it a little bit differently. Make sure you integrate that into other practices that you might do where you do Cobra on elbows, and I hope that was helpful for you.